Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How you
Happy
doing?
Wednesday. Anything good to report?
Nothing exciting.
What was that? Sorry.
Nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting. Ah, well, you got to give me something by the end of this week. Something exciting.
Well, OPEX will end the week, and that should open things up, we hope.
Yeah. Got a little bit of selling here. So hold on one second. Let me close my door so the stupid dog doesn't. You think? All right. Back in action. All right. So I was gonna ask you guys. So I got to pick up my kids at well, I guess 5 after the hour here, or at least leave for that. Would you guys mind if I ended up bumping up the webinar like 15 minutes
No
on Wednesdays?
problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no
Cool.
problem.
Awesome. Okay. So anything you guys want to cover for sure? I was going to go over some of the option stuff, but kind of also just talk briefly on like where we're at right now with just the market in general.
Well, the option stuff would be great.
Sure. Yeah, I know it could be a little confusing, especially when it first launches here. And I'm trying to put together like a better view of it, like maybe using Google Sheets or something, so something that we can interact with. But you can't build something like that in a day. So I still want to try to wrap my arms around like how to read all the data and stuff from Spot Gamma. But so far, I really like it. It's some days are a little hit or miss. There's always that random element there where like market sells and things like that. But for the most part, I'm actually thinking that it gives a pretty good insight in combination with like wave theory and different like different field levels and stuff like that. So anything other than options?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
That's what I was really hoping you'd talk about too. So
Yeah, no problem, guys. So let's get rolling here. Let me share. I can also talk a little bit about the time price opportunity chart I showed this morning too. Sorry, one second. Let me pull up my presentation mode. You guys know I don't really prepare for this, right? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Sometimes it requires a little bit more prep than others. And this day's been a little nuts. All right, so let me just share real quick. Here we go. All right, so looking kind of where we're at here, I was hopeful that this sort of end of July kind of panic sell. I wouldn't really call it a panic sell, but kind of gives me the vibe of like rebalancing, but also kind of makes it seem like it's one of those things where it just ends up. Sorry, Don, can you go on mute real quick? Getting some background noise. So this kind of channel up here can't go on for forever. And you can see a couple of these corrective patterns in here. It doesn't really look like an impulsive wave, even though it might feel like one. But this is kind of what's coming out of my brain right now, is that we had these kind of corrective sort of moves. And I've been seeing a lot of these in the last, I'd say year. But really what you're looking for is a touch on these key levels. So like this 1.236 or the 1.382 levels. And I'm thinking that like this 24,000 here is a decent offshoot where it kind of pierces the level and fakes a bunch of bulls out so they buy the top, and then reverses back down here. But I think probably the max pain is going to be like 24,109. And if you look at something like the S&P, I think it's actually getting a little bit closer. Let me see. But like I said earlier today, the option structure looks very it looks kind of bullish. It might have changed today here. I'll have to look and see what kind of rolled in afterwards. But we did kind of stop at like this 64.80. Getting up a little bit higher here. I can see a 6,500 before like officially tops. But we've had, we have some sort of constructive, call options and things like that for the end of the week. So as soon as the 15th rolls off the books here, like a lot of gamma rolls off the dealer books, and then that kind of unwinds the sort of like the 2-week cycle of like all these options trades. So what we're really looking for here is sort of like a confirmation of a top. We did get some decent selling today as a rejection, but it still was a relatively low volume day. But what I was looking for here is exactly pretty much what happened, which is where it just kind of tagged this fib level from a longer term standpoint. I mean, it's not really longer term; it's like the beginning of August, right? But when you're looking at it from a longer term perspective here, you can sort of see that there's a 5-wave structure that's taking place here that you can sort of you can pick it out here as being like a 5th wave or whatever you want to call it. Even though it doesn't really look impulsive here, you can still just redraw the counts, and it is subjective to that point. But if you do see like an extended 5th wave for like this sort of pattern here, that's where I'm starting to get the vibes here that if you zoom out a little bit longer, it's you can see it's kind of getting pretty close here to these major extension levels for a longer term irregular. So my thoughts on the matter, if you really want to kind of dive down here, and this is probably the last comment I'll make about the indexes before I move on to options. It kind of looks like this to me, like a irregular flat. And for those of you guys who are well versed in wave theory here, this is one of these things that, again, it's subjective. I don't really think a lot of like major rallies end on irregulars, but they do form more often than not. And technically, you do see a 5th wave like this, or sorry, like to finish off the wave 4 correction. You do see some sort of like wave 5 that typically goes lower than it typically goes lower than like the last little part here. So you can kind of think about it like a little bit of an overthrow. So really what we're looking for is like a pierce of like the last high. And that's one of those signals that, would show us that we're ready to rock and roll here and have a decent correction. I was looking at the badly beaten up TGPF portfolio. I know, I'm sorry. But it kind of seems like we would be able to get out of shorts right around here. So with luck, maybe like a wave 3, providing it doesn't go up, much more, but just kind of like an eyeball of this. This is what it kind of looks like to me that we might end the year with. And with that being said, I just think that like a lot of the data that's been rolling in has been a little bit, like bearish, but kind of not. Like CPI got a good bounce yesterday, but because I think people were like, oh yeah, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be, but it's still not great, and I think it's more of like just people trying to get the Fed to cut rates and whatever. Who knows if the data is manipulated or not? But I'm losing confidence in the government provided data. All right. Long story short, that's kind of what I think is happening longer term. Short term, we still got a little bit more to go here. I think, like I said before, the 24,000 for the Nasdaq and like the 6,500 for the S&P. So that's just a quick sort of overview of that. Any questions or comments, concerns, challenges? Even I welcome challenges. You can't. It's not just a one-man army here. It takes all of us. Okay, silence. Yeah.
How's things?
How's it going?
Yeah. So just a quick one. It's later here, as you know. If you have the time after going through the optional stuff, if you can have a quick chat about how to actually hedge a top when you're in a top. I mean, I know it's very late to ask this question. I should ask this question. I mean, I probably spoken about it a million times before, but given the state of things and everything going on, I'm really not sure how to hedge this thing. Yeah,
it's a really good question. I actually think why don't I do this? Why don't I write something up tonight? Because I think I'd like to try to put a little bit more thought into it rather than just kind of doing it off the cuff.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, right, just because cool. I want to be able to. I'm sure a lot of people have the same questions, so I just want to make sure that I'm putting some good work into it, not just phoning it in for you. So
Nice one. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys. Well, let's talk about some of this option stuff. So spot gamma. So the link that I shared yesterday, and please, send me a DM or something if you can't find it. The chart looks a little bit cluttered, but the reason is because I wanted to. Oh, sorry. 1 second. The reason is because I wanted to show. Let me get my act together here. I got too many lists. I gotta clean all this crap up. There it is. Yeah, I wanted to kind of show just a smattering of this. So what we're kind of looking at here, and I'm not really a big fan of like how these things kind of overlap. It's a script that's provided by Spot Gamma to TradingView, and even though I was able to get it working like pretty quickly, it's still one of those things that it doesn't really allow for much customization. So I'm going to see if I can take some of these levels and kind of create my own sort of script, and we'll see what happens with that. So I might ask Ben. Ben's pretty good at scripting and stuff. So I mean, he's always been more than happy to help. So long story short about it is this is sort of the information we'll have to deal with for right now. Some of the overlapping, which kind of sucks, but I am trying to work on a better way to show this. So hopefully that helps. Also too, like I'm like I have a whole bunch of information on this, like the 4 different charts and styles. You can, if you have TradingView, you can do like 2 or you can do 1 for the different panes, and this looks a lot better. You can also go to different time frames, which looks a lot better too. All right, so that makes the indicators look a little better too. So what are we looking at? That's the main key here. I think this is really good for if you're looking at just SPY and QQQ, like those are the major ones. And also too, if you're looking at something like let's say just like the regular Nasdaq or even futures. So it does have I do have some gamma info for futures, but futures are going to be a little different just because of the delta there between the forward curve and like what SPX is doing. So the levels will be a little different, but they should be comparable, I guess you could say. All right, so there is a couple things to notice here. Let's look at something that looks a little cleaner. Here we go. Okay, so something like QQQ. So the important ones to watch for are the call walls and the put walls, and also the zero gamma. So what that means here is, again, we're still kind of within the last couple days range here, and again, you can kind of see that there's a bit of a 5-wave structure here. So Mal, with your question about how do you hedge a top, this is one of those things where I would set just like short term. I would set like a hedge above the high that was put in today. I mean, you can see a little bit of these top wicks. In theory, like the gamma level here at this volume trigger, volatility trigger. What these are, and I'll also post the terms and definitions in the main channel for you guys. So it's not just me going off the cuff with it. So the call walls, that is a higher chance of like a reversal within the day. These call walls can shift, but essentially that's like the most concentration of bullish gamma. So anything beyond that, the dealer's going to have to hedge, and the dealers typically will fight that, or whoever is positioned lower, that kind of thing. So typically you don't see prices last much longer, or sorry, rephrase this. You don't typically see prices last above the call wall very long, at least from what what I can remember, seeing and observing with the charts, and just going back to my old options days. But yeah, I guess the long story short with this is that anything that is a like call wall or a put wall, that is really like a reversal point intraday, or it can be for like the next several days. It depends on how much gamma there is. Now that's something that you can't really discern right away. That's something that I'll have to keep an eye on and kind of report the news to you guys. But I guess you could say that they're just reversal points. Now the vol trigger, this is sort of like your hold on, I think I have something here real quick. No, sorry, I don't want to go digging for it. I know our time's limited, but basically, it's like if it goes beyond this level, it kind of acts like a gamma flip. It's not the level that's zero gamma here, which is also like the major gamma flip, but this is just one of those zones where it's like a bifurcation point. So I guess you could look at it like if it hits this, this volatility range, it's either going to head back up and go back up to the call wall, or it's going to go down to likely the next major level of support gamma. And it kind of aligns here with some buy support. You can see we got a lot of buy delta here, except for this high concentration at this 580 level. There was I want to say there was like a 230 million some dollar dark pool trade today in QQQ. So that might also be why you see some depressed selling like right at this level here, or at least some concentration. So once you hit these sort of levels here, I guess the main takeaway is that this is a consolidation zone, and more than likely, at least I hope, we will see something along the lines of like this, where we'll see a decent C leg down. But that's where those hedges come in, where anything above 580 I think is reasonable, because to me at least it sounds like, or looks like, somebody's positioning to short at 580, or at least take profits or something like that. So if the bulls do intend to take advantage of the bullish option structure and until the end of day Friday, then more than likely we'll see some sort of wave 5 here. So that's, I guess I would say, the most important one if you're holding shorts and stuck, is that you want to take a look at that 580 level and kind of maybe set some alerts, maybe do like a 50% hedge or something there, and then maybe like another 50 above this last like 582 level. Typically like the last major wave peaks are usually the wave points where they have resistance and things like that. Now there's really no gamma up here of note, at least for QQQ. So I think that more than likely the 580 level is going to hold, just because we've got the call wall down here, and more than likely people have taken profits on that. So the other thing, let me just take a look at SPY real quick. Oh, okay. So SPY, this one has a little bit more information on it that we can use. So like a chart pattern here, I don't really like these. These little diamond tops, they don't typically work super well, but they have been working recently. So this is sort of like a top signal. And also too, there was a ton of gamma here that was concentrated at this 645 level, or like the 6450 level for SPX. And that's why you also see like the call wall here, and also this estimated 5-day move. That was only 2 days ago. So they've covered enough ground. Well, they covered pretty much all the ground that we thought markets were going to grind up for this week in like a day yesterday. So today, a bit of a retrace from that, and hopefully we get some sort of continuation. But as of right now, looking at this sort of view here, these different levels like L3, C2, L4, those kind of things. I do have definitions for those. I will post those in the channel. But just think about it as like the different levels of, or like the different strengths of support. So like, C1 is going to be the most important call level to get beyond if the bears are going to try to sell it down. Like C2 isn't as important, but it still has some sort of meat behind it. And like, the different levels here, like, L1, so 640. So like 640 is a pretty solid level here, where it's got this, you see how it's got a concentration here. Sorry, I hate how these overlap. It's got a concentration here where it's got, the 1 day estimated move, and it's also got the zero gamma. So that's really like the gamma flip point. So if it hits 640 and then goes beyond, then that's the trigger that essentially triggers like the waterfall, I guess you could say, where it should like selling should accelerate. Dealers have to hedge. Shorts are longs are covering, that kind of thing. So those are the real nice levels that I think that can like benefit us with the trading. Is like this is a pretty solid. If I had to measure this out, more than likely this is going to be like a 1.236 extension, which is a typical C leg. Let's see if, hey, free hand. How about that? Nice. I was going to say, tell my wife, but she can hear you. She's right over there. So anyways, it's important to kind of combine these levels and just have an understanding here, because what I'm noticing throughout the day, and again, I've only had a couple days doing this with spot gamma, but I still think it's pretty valuable, is that you see these like, B wave tops, or, I mean, it might even be like a wave 2 into 3. And that's where you could see a lot of these like accelerations. So if it doesn't stop here at this 1.236, then we know it's probably not an ABC, and that it's more of like a 5 wave, like what we've been looking for, to kind of like kick off the correction, I guess you could say. I've been seeing a lot of like ABCs, but I also think that that's part of this. That's still part of this structure here that hasn't resolved, like this 5 wave up. So this sort of thing is just an estimate. Like I said, this is sorry, I actually don't know if I said that, but this is like an estimate just to try to show you like how to use the gamma levels. But I still don't think we're quite done yet with the rally. I think maybe we might see, like I said, something like this. But anyways, like if we did actually hit the top here, and kind of, tomorrow morning might give us a lot more information about like the options positioning for the day, and also too, like the 0 DTE options do influence a lot. So if we have seeded, then that's where you would want to put that hedge in. So like I said, maybe 50% here, and then maybe another 50% above, if you're trading SPY or whatever your instrument is, like ES, NQ, that kind of thing. So I'll stop there. I know I said a lot of words. What are your thoughts, opinions, questions on the matters? Does it make sense? Please,
Those
not all at the
numbers
same time.
you have against those numbers you have on the top, are those real time, or are you punching them manually?
These are every morning. So
Okay.
what Spot Gamma does, let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me put in the key levels into the chat here. Oh, I went right to it. How about that? That never happens like that. So I got this stupid mic in my face. Let's see. All right. No, okay, I can't paste all that in there. I'll just do it in I'll just do it in chat later. But okay, can you guys see the spot gamma chart? So pretty much what this is like every morning I'm not that fast yet here. Every morning they give levels here, which is which has the concentration of puts and calls and things like that, and you just kind of copy it in there. So it's really just putting levels on a chart that this is the data that supports it. So if you'll look at some of these higher concentrations of gamma, then that's what materializes in the chart with with like the different levels like L1, L2, L3, that kind of thing. Real quick, there we go. These are levels. I'll just flash them real quick here. So the different levels of support we're talking about, like the sorry, not call wall and put wall, like volatility trigger. It's more of like the like L1, L2. They're combos. So you might have like iron condors or other options traders that have large spreads in the markets, and those do act like support and resistance. I don't know why they really. I mean, yeah, you could call them, okay, large gamma strikes, L1, that makes sense, I guess, and combo strikes, 1 through 4. The large gammas are more than likely to, act as support or resistance, and the combo strikes are more of like maybe intraday bounce points. But yeah, I probably wouldn't add too much to these. I haven't really seen a lot of these combo strike levels hold strong, and that may change. It's only a couple days here, but I have seen the large gamma strikes. And like the volatility triggers and the call walls act pretty spot on. Actually, yesterday I think was pretty spot on with was like 580 or something for QQQ, and I think SPY stopped right at its call wall as well. Okay, so that's the crash course here. What kind of questions do you have about that? I know you guys are here for the options show, so hopefully I've been able to deliver at least somewhat.
It was good to see today the cold wall was breached and it bounced right back, right?
Yeah, I was when I saw it this morning, I was a little worried, thinking like,
Yeah.
like maybe this stuff isn't holding so well, but in the end, it ended up being one of those things where, like the bulls would just keep charging no matter what, and it's up to the bears to stop them. So like the bears will step in if they have lots of options on the table, or if they have a lot of short position and they need to protect, or if they're just waiting for a new high. There's all these things that institutions do to kind of trick us and separate us from our money. But for the most part, though, now that the market is more like options driven and there's significantly more dealer hedging involved, the one thing that we need to really pay attention to are these large levels of concentration. So before, when the options market wasn't as crazy, there wasn't as much leverage and margin in the system. We've had several years of just up, right? So of course we're going to have excess and some mania like we're in right now, but really what we're looking for are these big concentrations where, if the price does move beyond that, or goes lower or something like that, we're still going to need to be able to react to it. So it's not like you're in the past where the support and resistance levels were a little bit more vague, but still kind of simpler, I guess you could say. Like here, like in the past, 642.84 would have been a strong support level for ES, or for SPY. And you can kind of see how there was some support there. It never doesn't typically match up to the penny, but it can be pretty close. And the same thing here with the top that we had this morning, and how it just kind of got sold down right away. So that's just one of those things that I find this adds a lot of value for. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the options data? Okay, I'll assume that I did an excellent job explaining it, and everybody's happy and laughing to themselves while they're on mute. I have to laugh at my own jokes, or else like I don't have a laugh track with me. I tried the laugh track once, and I just, you can't share it unless you share the tab that makes the sound on Google Meet. So I got to figure out another way to do that. So, anyways, so that's kind of the crash course here on the option stuff. Like I said, I'm gonna try to put it together in a more readable way, where we have different styles of indicators. These charts here. Hey, Susan. Yes, you got a question?
Yeah. Hey, Gaines. Stupid question. So when you're looking at spot gamma, you're looking at these daily charts, but you had mentioned in one of your comments today that the options are likely to change around the 15th. So are you also looking at data for a longer time frame than just the day?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to with that is I kind of have sorry, one second. Let me just grab one thing. So as I've been looking through this, I'm not super fluent yet with spot gamma. I'm getting there, but it doesn't really give a lot of longer term sort of strikes and longer term things. I think that's actually where Cheddar Flow excels with the future gamma levels. But so I kind of had to like gel it together today, and there may be something here that I'm missing, and I've only made it through about a third of the resources with spot gamma so far since Monday. It's a lot of videos, a lot of stuff, but for the most part, those longer strikes, I am looking for those because if we do find those, I would like to try to make a chart kind of like we had, or like I showed you guys before, where it's kind of gives us this this, like the curves are nice, but it's really only like for the days. We don't really need that. It's more about these like these bar charts. So yeah, so it's kind of more about like this, but it's more about like dates too. So yeah, okay, we could have a gamma map for the day, but that doesn't help us a week from now. Like if we're gonna, like, let's say you're going on vacation or something, like maybe you want to have, a better idea about what's coming down the pipe here. So where I got that from today, Susan, was more just chatter flow and looking at some of the different amounts of gamma that are supposed to roll off the books on the 15th. But I am looking for a way to figure that out within one tool, if that helps. Yes, question.
So next question and last question is, if you go back to your charts that you were showing before with the gamma chart. Yeah. Okay, so let's say it's, early morning and you're looking at this. What kind of trades are you thinking about for the day based on where these call walls are and put walls, that kind of stuff on SPY? So let's unlimited amounts of money to do something.
Unlimited.
What do you? Okay.
That's fun.
You can really play with this. What kind of a trade setup are you thinking about when you look at this chart as it's unfolding and as you see the call walls, the volatility, and even the delta neutral? Yeah.
So real quick on that, if I look at something like SPY, maybe I'll pull up Nasdaq here, because Nasdaq. What's the call wall? Hold on 1 second. Yeah, okay. I think this will work. So what I was looking at this morning was, I think I kind of mentioned that this looks like it's a corrective sort of wave. So after I do all my, wave counts and charting and stuff like that, I'll look at the options data and see if it sort of aligns with this. And that's kind of where I was saying, like, well, we've got this, this 5-day move, or at least like with the expiration and things like that. And you've got this other, you've got these like the combo levels, if there's iron condors or whatever, we've got, large gamma support. And you kind of saw that happen today. So I wasn't too worried when I added, like with my fund money account, just added along when you see something like, let me zoom in a little bit more. And I think I got to run in here. So you kind of saw us, kind of, I guess, gap up, I guess you could say, and kind of gapped above these levels. But what I'm looking at is, you've got a call wall up here, and if you look at something like SPY, it's lower. So it's like you still kind of open up here, and more than likely there's people like taking profits. So combining that together with SPX, like SPX might have a different, way to move here. But when I'm looking at it like a trade setup, I'm still looking at the wave count. So this kind of looks like, the beginning of a wave 4. And my initial reaction was like, okay, well, if it's going to keep going lower, after it was a half hour into the day, I'm like, okay, well, at least it's going to be persistent. So more than likely we'll get some sort of pullback. So then, I kind of start the fib drawing sequence here, and start at this 0.236 pullback, and you can kind of see that just below that there's that combo level, and then the L2 down here. And what that meant for me was pretty much like, okay, well, once I start to see some volume, I'll buy the dip. And that's kind of what ended up happening today, and ended up making like sweet $50. No, I'm kidding. No, so realistically, it's like you kind of like wave theory. Okay, sure. You might say, okay, we might head lower after this, but I think it's just a little premature. Really, you want to think about like multi-day moves with it. So in the day, that's where I was comfortable with it, kind of stopping at like this 5-day estimated move, because there's got to be there's tons and tons of buying right here, and same thing with down below. So as you're watching this accumulate at the the 1-minute charts and things like that, you feel a little better about going long as opposed to not having information like this. But that was you still have to watch it. But the big key for me was when we opened right around a longer term fib level. Like I think sorry, this chart's a bit of a mess. And then I do have to run, I'm sorry. But yeah, like we tagged this overnight, this 1.236 level. And I'm like, all right, well, if tomorrow is not a sell, then it's, get ready for the blow up top, like rock and roll. So hopefully that answered that. It was just kind of a combination of like, we did gap up from the last day. but then we hit that major fib level and reverse down. I wouldn't call this like a super strong reversal, so I kind of think it's more like a wave 4. But the main question I have is whether we're going to reverse here and do a move like this, and then we can see that this one-day move, if it actually materializes here, because it is pretty close to this level. So that's kind of how I have been reading it so far. I should have a better way to explain it once I'm more fluent in this, but hopefully it's been at least a little bit helpful. All right, I do need to run here, but what I'll do is I'll those definitions and things, I'll paste those in the group chat. I'll also save the post or pin it or whatever for you guys. And I'll mention some stuff on hedging. And what else? Is there anything else I'm missing?
And how to structure your trades using those options info, if that's...
Yes. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Nice one.
Okay, guys. Cool. Thanks for joining. And
Cheers.
I'll get this up a little bit later tonight.